The knock at midnight. It was midnight. The streets were quiet. The cold wind was blowing outside. The small house stood alone at the end of the street. Everything was peaceful. But suddenly, there was a knock at the door. It was soft but clear. It was not normal at this hour. David sat up on his bed. He was confused. Who could be at the door so late? Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe someone knocked on the wrong house. But then, there was another knock. This time, it was a little louder. David walked to the door. His heart was beating fast. He looked through the small window beside the door. What he saw made him freeze. There was a woman standing outside. But she did not look normal. Her skin was glowing softly, almost like silver light. Her hair was long and white, shining under the moon. Her eyes were big, glowing blue, almost like the stars. She looked scared. She was wearing strange clothes, something he had never seen before. David opened the door a little, enough to speak but not fully. "Who are you?" he asked carefully. The woman looked at him with wide, scared eyes. Her voice was soft but shaking. "Please, I need your help. I have nowhere else to go," she said. David was confused. She looked human, but also not human. There was something strange about her. He could feel it, but her fear looked real. "Help? What do you mean? Who are you?" he asked again. She looked behind her as if someone was following her. Then she turned to him, her eyes full of fear. "I don't have much time. Please, they are coming. I need your bloodline to survive." David was shocked. He had never heard such words in his life. "My bloodline? What are you talking about? Are you human?" he asked. The woman shook her head slowly. "No, I am not from this world. I am from a far planet. My people are dying. We cannot survive without your help, without your bloodline." David could not believe what he was hearing. It sounded like a joke, but the fear on her face was real. Her glowing skin, her shining eyes, all of it felt real. "Why me? Why my bloodline?" he asked, his voice low, still unsure if he should trust her. The woman looked into his eyes. Her own eyes were full of pain and desperation. "Because your DNA matches what we need. You are the only hope left. If you say no, my people, my family, they will all die." David took a deep breath. His mind was full of questions. How could this be true? Why him? Why tonight? But before he could ask more, she suddenly looked behind her again. "They're here," she whispered with fear. David looked outside. The street was still empty, but her fear made his heart race. "Who's here?" he asked. "The ones hunting me," she replied. "They followed me across space. They will kill me. And if they do, it's the end of my people." David looked at her glowing skin again, her weak, shaking body, her eyes full of pain. He had two choices: close the door and forget about her, or help her and step into a world he never knew existed. Before he could decide, there was a strange noise from far down the street. It was not a car. It was not human. It was something different. The woman grabbed his arm gently but firmly. "Please, let me in. I beg you. I came all this way for you. Don't leave me outside. They will find me." David stood still for a moment. His life was simple before tonight. A normal job, a small house, no big surprises. But this was not normal. This was something from another world. His heart was telling him to help. His mind was full of fear, but in her eyes he saw only truth and desperation. Without saying another word, he opened the door wider. The alien woman stepped inside quickly. David closed the door behind her. The soft glow of her skin filled the small room. Nothing would ever be the same again. Asterisk. The truth about her species, the room was quiet now, but David's heart was not. It was beating fast as he looked at the strange woman sitting on the chair. Her glowing skin made the whole place feel unreal. He never thought his small house would one day have an alien guest. But here she was, scared, tired, and desperate. For a few moments, they both stayed silent. David didn't know what to say. He had so many questions, but no words came out. The woman looked weak, but her eyes still held hope. Finally, she spoke. "My name is Alina," she said softly. "I come from a planet called Valora. It is far, very far from your Earth." David stared at her. The name meant nothing to him. But the way she said it, it sounded real. "Why are you here? Why?" "And me?" he asked, still trying to believe all this was happening. Alina looked down at her hands. The glow from her skin was softer now. She seemed even weaker than before. "My people? We are dying," she whispered. "Our enemies attacked us many years ago. We lost our world. And now we are losing ourselves." David frowned. "Losing yourselves? What do you mean?" Alina's eyes filled with sadness. "We cannot have children anymore. The war, the weapons. They destroyed our ability to survive. Slowly, my people are disappearing. We tried everything, science, medicine, but nothing works." David listened carefully. Every word sounded more impossible, yet more real. He could feel her pain. "Then, how does my bloodline help?" he asked. Alina looked at him again. "Your DNA, it's the key. We studied your kind secretly. Some humans, like you, share genetic parts with us. If I carry your child, our race can live again." David couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You want my child?" he asked, confused and shocked. She nodded slowly. "It's not just about one child. It's about hope for an entire species. I was sent to find you. You and only you." David's head was spinning. All of this sounded like a dream or a nightmare. But her glowing skin, her scared eyes, they were too real to be fake. "How do you even know I'm the right one?" he asked. Alina pulled out a small, glowing device from her pocket. She pressed a button and a soft light scanned David's face. A screen appeared, showing strange symbols. And then a green mark flashed. "You are the only match," she whispered. "If you refuse, my people will be gone forever." David looked at the device, then at her. His mind was full of doubts. But one thing was clear. She believed every word. Before he could ask more, a sound came from outside. It was soft, but dangerous. Alina's eyes filled with fear again. "They are close," she whispered. "Who?" David asked quickly. "The hunters," she replied. "They followed me here. If they find me, it's over." David stood up. His house was small. No place to hide. His heart was racing again. Alina grabbed his hand gently. "I don't want to bring danger to you. But I had no choice. I had to come." David looked into her eyes. They were glowing softly, full of fear, but also trust. He took a deep breath. His quiet life was gone now. In its place, a strange, impossible choice. Help the alien woman. Or close the door on her and her people. But deep inside, he already knew. The real adventure had just begun. The hunters arrived. The room was filled with silence. But outside, the danger was already moving. David could feel it in the air. His chest was tight. His mind was racing. The alien woman, Alina, sat quietly, her glowing skin looking weaker than before. But her eyes stayed on the door. "They are close," she whispered again. Her voice was soft, but the fear inside it was loud. David didn't understand how things changed so fast. Just hours ago, he was living a normal life. Now, a glowing alien woman was sitting in his house, asking him to help save her people. And now, someone or something was hunting her. A faint noise came from outside. It was like footsteps, but not human. Slow, heavy, with a strange metallic sound. David stepped toward the window carefully and looked outside. What he saw made his blood run cold. Tall figures stood at the end of the street. They were covered in dark armor, their bodies shining under the streetlights. Their eyes glowed red, sharp like burning coals. They were not human. Their faces were hidden behind helmets that looked more like a beast than a man. They found me. Alina's voice broke the silence. David stared at the strange beings. Who or what are they? He asked in a low voice. They are called the Hunters, Alina replied. They were made for one thing, to destroy what they cannot control. They wiped out half my people. Now, they want me dead. David's heart pounded in his chest. The Hunters moved slowly, scanning the houses, looking for her. Their hands carried strange weapons, dark, long, glowing with blue lines. How did they follow you here? David asked. They can track my DNA, she whispered. I traveled across the stars to escape them, but they never stop. David looked around his small house. It felt too small, too weak to fight such enemies. We can't stay here, he said quickly. Alina nodded. If they find me, they'll kill you too. No witnesses. David felt a chill run down his spine. His quiet street, his normal life, all of it was disappearing in front of him. Outside, one of the hunters stepped closer. Their red eyes scanned the area. The sound of their boots echoed in the cold night. We need to go. Now, Alina urged. David thought for a moment. He could close the door. Stay inside. Pretend none of this was happening. But deep inside, he knew it was too late for that. He had already opened the door. He had already listened to her story. And now, the Hunters were here. Follow me, he said firmly. Alina stood up, weak but determined. Her glowing skin dimmed as she hid her light under a dark coat. Her eyes stayed fixed on the Hunters outside. As they quietly opened the back door, David's heart kept racing. The cold air hit their faces. The night felt heavy with danger. They moved fast, staying low, hiding behind fences and cars. David led her through the narrow back streets. His legs were shaking, but his mind stayed sharp. Behind them, the Hunters were still searching. Their voices were strange, like metal grinding against stone. They spoke in a language David couldn't understand, but the meaning was clear. Find the girl, no matter what. Alina held his hand tightly as they ran. If they catch me, it's over, she whispered again. David nodded. He didn't fully understand this new world, but he understood one thing. Those Hunters were real, and they were dangerous. The night was no longer safe. His city was no longer his own, and this was just the beginning. Escape into the night. The city felt different now. The streets that once looked safe were filled with shadows. David and Alina moved quickly through the dark alleys, their footsteps soft, their breaths heavy. Behind them, danger followed. David never thought running for his life would feel this real. The air was cold, sharp, but his body burned with fear and adrenaline. Beside him, Alina held his hand tightly. Her skin still glowed faintly under the coat, but her face was pale. They're getting closer, she whispered. David didn't look back. He could feel it too. The strange noise of the Hunters' boots, the low, crackling sounds of their weapons charging. He didn't need to see them to know they were near. They passed empty buildings, parked cars, and quiet homes. But there was no one to help. The city slept, but for them, the nightmare had just begun. Alina's steps slowed. Her breathing became harder. I can't stay on this planet for long, she said weakly. The air, it's killing me. David stopped near an old, rusty gate. What do you mean? You're dying? She nodded, her eyes full of fear and sadness. Our bodies can't survive here for many days. That's why we need your bloodline, to create life that can live both here and there. David's mind raced. Every word from her mouth sounded unbelievable, but everything happening around him proved otherwise. The glowing hunters, her silver skin, the way they were being hunted like animals. It was all real. We have to find your ship, David said firmly. Alina pointed towards the west. It's hidden near the old factory area, but it's not safe. The hunters know. A sharp sound cut through the air. Behind them, a bright red light flashed against the walls. The hunters had found their trail. They're here. David pulled her hand, running faster. His lungs burned, but he didn't stop. They ran across narrow alleys, jumped over fences, and ducked behind dumpsters. Every corner felt dangerous. Every shadow felt alive. The hunters moved like machines. No fear, no hesitation. Their glowing eyes scanned every dark corner, their weapons humming with deadly energy. David's legs felt weak, but his mind stayed sharp. He thought of every shortcut, every hidden path in this part of town. Alina trusted him now. Her life was in his hands. They reached an old bridge that crossed over empty train tracks. Alina stumbled, her knees weak. David caught her before she fell. I can't run much longer, she whispered. David looked around. The hunters were close. He could hear their strange language behind the walls. Time was running out. Listen to me, David said quickly. If you give up now, it's over. You came across the stars to find me. I'm not letting them take you. Alina's tired eyes softened. A weak smile appeared on her face. You believe me now? David gave a short nod. I believe the danger chasing us. That's enough for now. With all his strength, David helped her up. Together they crossed the bridge, moving like shadows in the dark. The old factory area was not far. But it wasn't just a place to hide. It held their only chance of escape. The night air grew colder. The hunters' lights glowed brighter behind them. But David didn't stop. He COULDN single quotes T.1 wrong turn, one slow step. And it was over. But he had already made his choice. He would fight for her. He would run for her, and he would not let the night take her away. The hidden ship, the old factory, stood like a sleeping giant in the middle of broken buildings and empty streets. Rust covered its walls. Cracked windows stared down like blind eyes. It looked forgotten by the world. But inside, a secret waited. Their only way to escape. David and Alina stopped near the factory gate. Alina's body was weak now. Her glowing skin had turned dull. Her breaths were short. She leaned against the wall, trying to stay on her feet. David looked at her, worried. Are you sure your ship is here? Alina nodded slowly. It's hidden underground, the last safe place. David pushed open the rusty gate. It made a loud creaking sound that echoed in the silence. For a moment, he feared the hunters would hear. But they had no other choice. Inside the factory, everything was dark. Broken machines stood like ghosts. The floor was covered with dust and old wires. But in the middle of the mess, hidden under a large metal sheet, was the entrance. Alina pressed her hand against a small panel. The metal sheet moved with a soft hum, revealing a dark tunnel. We go down, she whispered. David helped her inside. The tunnel was cold and narrow. The walls glowed faint blue as they walked deeper. It felt like they were walking inside a 5D machine. At the end of the tunnel, David saw it. The ship. It was not big, but it looked powerful. Its smooth surface shined under the blue lights. Strange symbols covered the sides. The ship looked alive as if it was waiting for her, but before they could reach it, a loud bang came from above. David froze. Heavy footsteps echoed in the factory. The hunters had arrived. They found us. Alina's voice shook with fear. David looked around. The tunnel had only one exit, the way they came in. If the hunters blocked it, they were trapped. Suddenly, the floor shook. The hunters were breaking through. Their glowing eyes, their sharp weapons, they were close. Alina stumbled, falling to her knees. Her strength was nearly gone. If I die now, it's over, she whispered. David's heart pounded. He had never flown a ship. He had never fought aliens. But standing here, with her weak and helpless, he knew he couldn't run anymore. His eyes searched the tunnel walls. He saw a strange weapon, long, glowing faint blue, resting against the side. Without thinking, David grabbed it. The handle fit perfectly in his hand, like it was made for him. The hunters dropped down from above. Their red eyes locked onto Alina. Their voices spoke in that strange, cold language. They raised their weapons, ready to finish her, but David stood between them. His hands shook, but his eyes were steady. He pointed the alien weapon forward. The hunters didn't stop. They moved fast, confident, ready to kill. David pressed the trigger. A bright blue blast shot out, hitting the ground near them. The floor cracked. The hunters paused, surprised. David didn't wait. He fired again, this time hitting one of them. The armor cracked, sparks flew. The hunter fell. The others growled, stepping back for a moment. David turned to Alina. Get to the ship. She crawled toward the entrance of the ship, her body weak but her hope alive. David fired again, pushing the hunters back. His heart raced, but he didn't stop. He had never fought before, but tonight he wasn't just fighting for himself. Alina reached the ship. The door opened with a soft hiss. She pulled herself inside. Her hand glowed weakly as she activated the systems. David fired one last shot, then jumped inside. The door closed behind him. The ship came to life, glowing softly. Alina lay on the floor, her body trembling. David sat beside her, breathing hard. The hunters outside banged on the door. But it was too late. They had escaped. For now. The choice, the ship floated quietly in the sky, hidden behind dark clouds. Below them, the hunters searched the city like wolves, but they were too late. For now, David and Alina were safe. But safety would not last forever. Inside the ship, the lights were soft and strange. Symbols from another world glowed along the walls. But David's eyes were fixed only on Alina. She lay on the floor, weak and shaking. Her glowing skin had turned pale. Her eyes barely stayed open. Every breath looked painful. David sat beside her, confused, scared, and full of questions. "What's happening to you?" he asked quietly. Alina tried to speak, but her voice was weak. "I don't have much time. Earth's air, my body, can't survive here long." David's heart sank. He thought escaping the hunters was the hard part, but now she was dying right in front of him. "But the ship? Can it help you?" he asked, desperate. Alina gave a weak smile. "It can, but only if you say yes." David frowned. "Yes to what?" Her hand reached out, trembling. "To save my people, to save me, you must agree. To carry your bloodline through me." David sat still. The words hit him like a storm. He had heard it before, but now there was no more time to think. She was asking him to become part of something bigger, something impossible. Alina continued, her voice soft as the ship floated in silence. "If you say no, my people disappear forever. If you say yes, our future lives inside me." David's mind raced. This wasn't just about love. It wasn't about attraction. It was about survival for an entire alien race. But saying yes meant changing his life forever. "Why me?" he whispered. Alina looked into his eyes. Her glowing pupils were dim but full of truth. "Because only you match with us. Your DNA, your bloodline. It's our only hope. I searched across the stars for you." David leaned back, his heart heavy. His normal life was already gone. But this was bigger than anything he imagined. "What happens if I agree?" he asked carefully. Alina took a deep, weak breath. "Our blood mixes, our life connects. I carry your child, your future, your name, but also the hope of my people." David stayed silent for a moment. His whole life had been quiet, ordinary. But maybe he was never meant for an ordinary life. Outside, the ship's alarm beeped softly. The hunters were still searching. They would not stop. They would come again. Inside, time was running out. Alina's eyes began to close. Her skin lost more color. Her body trembled. David's heart made. The choice his mind could not. "I'll do it," he whispered. Her eyes opened slowly, weak but shining with hope. David nodded again, stronger this time. "I'll help you. I'll carry your bloodline. I'll help save your people." A single tear rolled down her cheek. Her hand reached for the control panel beside her. With her last bit of strength, she activated the bonding process. A soft light filled the ship. The symbols on the walls glowed brighter. David felt a strange warmth moving through his body, a connection being made. Something beyond human understanding. It was done. They were now bound, by blood, by choice, by destiny. But as the soft light faded, the ship's alarm grew louder. The hunters were not far. The choice was made. But the real fight was only beginning. The bond is sealed. The soft glow inside the ship slowly faded, but everything had changed. David could feel it, not just in his body, but deep inside his soul. The connection was real. The bond between him and Alina was now sealed. For a moment, the world outside did not exist. It was just them floating quietly in the sky, connected by something far greater than words. Alina lay still, her weak body resting against the smooth floor. But her skin, it was no longer pale. A soft silver glow returned to her face. The strange markings on her arms and neck began to shine again. David watched as the color came back to her cheeks. Her breathing slowed and her eyes opened. Brighter than before. "You did it," she whispered, her voice soft but full of life. "You saved me and my people." David still couldn't believe it. Just a few hours ago, he was an ordinary man, living an ordinary life. Now, he was bound to an alien woman, and responsible for the future of her entire race. Alina slowly sat up. She looked at him with gentle, glowing eyes. "Our bond, it's complete now. Your blood, your future. Lives inside me." David's heart raced. The idea still felt impossible, but deep down he believed her. Every part of this journey, every strange moment, had been real. The ship's control panel beeped softly. A hologram appeared, showing their location, and danger approaching fast. The hunters had not given up. They were coming again. Alina's eyes turned serious. They will never stop. Not until they are sure. "I'm gone. But now, I'm not alone." David stood beside her. The strange warmth from the bond still flowed through his veins. He didn't feel like just a human anymore. He felt stronger. "Different. They can come," David said firmly. "But this time, we fight together." Alina smiled, a small but proud smile. "You're not just saving my people now. You're part of us. Forever." The ship's engines hummed to life. The walls glowed as the system prepared for flight. Outside, red lights flashed in the dark clouds, the hunter ships closing. And David looked at the alien weapon resting near the seat. He picked it up. It didn't feel strange anymore. It felt like it belonged to him. Alina sat in the pilot's seat, her glowing fingers moving quickly over the controls. "Are you ready?" she asked softly. David nodded. He wasn't just ready. He was no longer running from the impossible. He was living it. The ship shot forward, rising into the clouds. The hunters followed, their weapons glowing red, their ships moving fast. But this time, David wasn't afraid. He wasn't alone. The bond was sealed. The fight was not over. But now they had hope. And sometimes hope was enough to change everything.